Hello, we are back. Thank you guys for waiting. If you have, real quick, if you haven't yet, hit that like button on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch if you haven't. All the ways you guys know how to support us, we appreciate it as we dive into Twilight of the Superheroes Part 4. Twilight of the Superheroes is Alan Moore's would-be DC event that aimed to establish an endpoint for DC canon. It first surfaced online around 1995 as a pitch document and has been the subject of debate, scrutiny, and controversy ever since. This is part 4 of our deep dive into Alan Moore's Twilight of the Superheroes, the greatest comic story never told. Last week, I promised that this week we would get into the story of Twilight of the Superheroes. And I worked diligently to find a way that I thought made sense to present you guys what the story is. In the pitch document, Alan Moore lays the story out in a way that's quasi-readable, because there's a lot of anecdotes or things that he throws in, and it's not necessarily told in an order that allows for shock or reveals and things like that. So I tried to take what he wrote and put it in a narrative that's clean.
Sean, you did some deep internet searching, didn't you?
I really, really, really did.
You know how I know?
Go ahead.
One of the images you sent me is a non-animated GIF image.
Yo, that was so weird. I was like,
wait, what? I haven't seen one of these in forever. This is back when I was making HTML pages for Neopets.
Wait, a non-animated what?
GIF image, GIF file format.
They were not animated before?
Oh my god.
This is 90s internet.
Huh.
Your internet wouldn't have been able to handle that at the time, you know. So Tyler, as Tyler alluded to, I actually was able to find several more images of characters from this book drawn by creators that Alan Moore has worked with. And we will be showing you guys those here as we go forward. The way we're going to handle this is a little different than we have been, so bear with me. But without further ado, here we go. The story begins in a bar in 1987 New York. John Constantine drinks alone with a bitter, angry look on his face. In walks a gorgeous blonde who beelines for Constantine and asks him for a light. We then flash back to early as Constantine speaks to Rip Hunter, who tells him that he's from the future. To prove this, Rip tells John several things he could only know by learning them from Constantine himself. Rip tells John about the horrors of this dystopian nightmare he escaped from, and how John from the future actually helped Rip escape, and sent him to enlist John's help. Convinced, John agrees to use his connections with a variety of superheroes within the superhero community to warn them about this future in hopes that their actions can prevent it from ever coming to pass. We jump once again, this time to the future. It's 1995, and society is crumbling. A conglomerate of villains decide it's time to make their play for world domination and unleash a vicious attack. The Justice League decides they're done playing cat and mouse games with the world's supervillains and go on the offensive in order to not only shut down this campaign, but eradicate the threat of supervillains the world over. They enlist the aid of superheroes across the spectrum, and it works. It works so well that it shows the assembled group of heroes just how powerful they can be when they work together, and convinces them that their combined force is the only way to protect an uncertain, vulnerable world. United and paranoid, the heroes decide to push forward a motion to outlaw all aliens from Earth. A majority of heroes back this, leading to a schism among their ranks, with groups like the Titans backing away from the superhero community and the Green Lanterns banished due to their powers coming from alien technology and being governed by the Guardians. Now I'm going to stop. Tyler, whenever I say the name of a character, if you have an image for them, just show it, okay?
Okay,
Cool.
gotcha.
Some years later, the superhero community has splintered into houses, with the most prominent being the houses of Steel and Thunder. Superman and Superwoman's son, Superboy, is set to wed the daughter of Captain Marvel and Marvel, Mary Jr. This is not a wedding happening as a result of young love. The two houses seek to merge in order to use their combined might against the remaining houses and rule over what's left after the war. As the wedding date approaches, both families are in states of turmoil. Superman and Wonder Woman fear what will happen when they can no longer keep their son's tendency towards sadism and cruelty a secret, and what might happen after he marries Mary Jr. They're also concerned about their daughter Supergirl, who has yet to find a suitor, and Captain Marvel Jr. has little interest in her. This is, of course, because he's having an affair with Mary Marvel.
No, that's right.
Ew.
Some Game of Thrones shit.
Which has been easy for them to keep hidden from the Captain because of his aloof behavior. Captain Marvel still struggles with his duality and prefers to spend his time in his human form, Billy Batson, whose mind ages but whose body remains that of a child.
What?
Ooh, interesting wrinkle.
Oh, you don't know. While Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. have long given up their human forms. Things have changed of late, though, as the Captain seems to be kinder, gentler, and more to his family, even if he avoids visiting old friends like Talkie Tawny. Mind you, everything that I say, I'm saying for a reason. So all of this, it's a story. All of this connects. The impending wedding worries the other primary houses. Houses of Titans and Justice chief among them. Nightwing, the cold, embittered, and ruthless leader of the Titans house, reaches out to the House of Justice leadership and even the House of Secrets, comprised of villains who manage to skirt the villain purge in hopes of forming an alliance of their own. They mutually realize the threat that a merged House of Steel and Thunder represent, so they agree to work together to shut them down and divvy up what's left of America between themselves. On screen, we're showing a rendition of Nightwing from this from Twilight of the Superheroes.
Whoa.
Yes, and so this was actually drawn by J.H. Williams and Mick Gray.
Wow.
Yes,
I can see
and
that now that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it, right?
Yep.
It's for those of you who are only listening, it's Nightwing perched atop what appears to be something that should make us think about the Statue of Liberty, but isn't actually, I don't think. It's holding a flag that is representative of the Teen Titans. It's not the Nightwing we know. He's much more covered up, I would say. He's got some kind of a mask or visor on, something of
It
that
looks
nature.
like a
He
luchador
actually-
mask.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of reminds me
Booyaka.
of Hawkeye from Ultimates 3. Weird
Huh.
pull, but that's what I'm
Blind
thinking
spot for me. Sorry.
of. It should be. You guys with me so far?
Yeah. Yeah.
Think so. Yeah.
All right, awesome. We'll continue.
I got questions, but I want to get the full
Oh,
picture. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And the House of Justice was the JSA characters,
The
right?
Justice League holdovers.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah. And I would imagine JSA as well, probably, but that he doesn't get that specific.
Okay.
Moving on, we shift over to the barrio, where the retired superheroes and superhero adjacent characters have made their home. It's a poor place with little hope to be found, and many of the locals spend their time at Sandy's, the primary bar within the barrio, run by Sandra Knight, once known as Phantom Lady. Patrons include characters like Blackhawk, who is preparing an army of young men to become Blackhawks as well and take the fight to the primary houses. So we also have an image of Blackhawk, which I was very surprised to see. This is by Timothy Truman. Truman created a cover for Miracle Man. That's the connective tissue.
Oh yeah, I can see this now. Yep.
Yeah,
His
and then
thighs
it's worth
are
pointing
killer.
out. J.H. Williams and Mick Gray were working with Alan Moore on Promethea.
Yep.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the connective tissue on that one. This version, I don't know Black Hawk. I'm not. I can't think of ever having seen Black Hawk.
There was
So
a
I have no
Lady
context.
Blackhawk that I think is more prevalent in modern continuity. That was on Birds of
I've
Prey. Yeah.
that character I've seen.
They're like it's like a part of the military stuff because
Yeah.
they were not alongside what's his face I'm forgetting what it is.
They were like
but
JSA contemporaries, I believe.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
think from like they're from Quality Comics, so like they came in later, got incorporated into DC.
And in this iteration, Black Hawk is struggling, I guess, with his history of war or his history of violence,
Mm.
and he has decided that he's going to conscript young men, like boys, into an army, because he can't let go of what he's been through, and he's tired of the superheroes, so he just wants to
Sure.
burn it all down.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with here. Moving forward, another important regular is Plastic Man, who has taken on a job as a prostitute.
No.
Could be whatever
He's
you
a
want,
lovable-
baby.
He's a lovable guy who uses his abilities to keep himself looking youthful, although signs of deterioration are visible beneath his clothes. He is the only employee of Seductive Winks escort agency, and his top client is Kathy Kane, who pays handsomely for his company.
Yo, he's the human fleshlight.
I don't like that.
I mean,
Keep that
someone
yeah.
with that power set, that seems like a realistic,
right.
career track. Like if somebody had those powers in real life, they would not be Reed Richards. They'd probably be this guy. This is just post superhero comics. This is classic Alan Moore.
And there are descriptions for a lot of characters that we might not necessarily get to, but I think more often than not, I was like, wow, that makes sense on Moore's part. The trajectory.
This is the one you picked.
Well, there are others as
Sure,
well. But
yeah.
I just thought everything I'm saying is important.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't have an image for this.
I wish I had.
Yeah, I could draw one real quick.
So I will continue now. It's here at Sandy's where John Constantine, a man who lives largely the same as he always did, making his way by getting over on people and putting that silver tongue to work, plots a scheme of his own. He's been spending his time of late reaching out to various patrons at the bar, but also using his connections to reach high up the food chain, even having personal access to Captain Marvel himself. He's made allies with nearly all the prominent figures within the superhero community, and they all believe him to be a friend. Constantine has found happiness in this dystopian world, essentially married to a woman he's been with for 15 years. He can't accept the state of the world, though, and feels compelled to do what he can to change it. Constantine's persistence eventually leads him to a meeting with a secret cabal led by none other than Batman, who, alongside the Shadow, Doc Savage, and Tarzan, have come up with a plan to eliminate all superheroes from Earth.
Pause.
Wait.
Tarzan?
Tarzan.
The Shadow and Doc Savage.
Yes.
This is the Didio thing that he was talking
The
about.
first wave. Yes.
First wave, yeah.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that. This reminded me of First Wave. This is it literally was Batman, Doc Savage, and I think the Shadow was there as well. So it is a similar idea.
I think yeah, you might be right. Just no Tarzan.
No.
They
I
could
don't
have because that's public
Yeah.
domain, so I don't know why they didn't, but yeah.
Yeah. So
It's not a very powerful group though. Like there's a
on
power
its
set,
face,
like it's cool, but like
yeah. Well, if you want a good plan, as we know, Batman's the guy to go to, right?
True.
Mm.
Constantine promises to help them in their mission however he can. Meanwhile, the Question, an underpaid investigator who has little left in life other than finding answers, searches the barrio for information about a murder he's obsessed with solving, involving a little person who appears to have been killed by a 6'6" prostitute. Now, little person is my verbiage. That's not what Moore used.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on with the Question.
Interesting. Okay.
This far.
But we know of only one prostitute at the moment.
There's a lot of prostitutes.
So it's worth me pointing out, Marco brings up a good point. There are a lot of prostitutes in the barrio. It's mostly prostitutes, panhandlers, drunks, people who are superhero or superhero adjacent, but who've kind of like given up in life, lost their way, things like that.
Become vagrants.
Yeah, it's like Amsterdam.
It's just strange. I can't tell what Alan Moore's opinion on sex work is. It's either he's pairing them up with these, the bottom of society, or he's a big fan. So I can't tell.
I think it's probably both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think Alan Moore has a negative feeling about poor people.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No, it just is.
It just is, exactly. I think
Yeah.
he's using it to show how the
Yeah.
world has deteriorated.
Right.
This is like the last vestige of, people.
In general.
Yeah, who know what the world was like and how good things were and how good they personally had it. I'll make a quick aside actually about characters you all will probably be interested in. Green Arrow and Black Canary. They've retired as superheroes. They live in the barrio, but they've run an underground like newspaper where they're disseminating the truth about what's really happening in the world. And the Question helps them by giving them information that he comes across during his
Sean, one big question mark for me is, and feel free to stop me, but where's Lois Lane in all this?
Lois Lane is nowhere, I don't think.
Yeah, it just seems like that would be a good spot for her, but like she's not with Superman. Like it seems like a big question mark there that's not addressed. But.
Yeah, I can't recall a reference to Lois Lane. But
okay.
If I find one, I'll
that alone is interesting in itself. The complete lack of her too. Yeah, that's a complete disillusion of the humanity of Superman in a way.
I'm almost done, so let me just get through this last bit. With the wedding only days away, Constantine learns of yet another plot developing in the shadows. The alien races who've been exiled from Earth, including the House of Lanterns, which now exists on a moon of Mars, fear the possibilities of the Houses of Steel and Thunder combining, and how their desire for power might extend beyond Earth, creating a grave situation for the galaxy and beyond. Any approach would be seen coming a mile away by the likes of Superman. But luckily for the aliens, they have an ace in the hole. Adam Strange.
I can get in and out by the Zeta beam.
Oh. And we know that the Ranians and the Thanagarians are on the side of the Lanterns. Interesting. Yeah, Tyler, you missed that one last week. Ron and
I watched.
That's right. Yeah, they teamed up. So, but you could also do that with magic, considering Constantine's there, right? He's not going to be able to see through that kind of stuff. Whoa.
And we do have an image of Adam Strange on the screen. This one was actually drawn by sorry, I think it was Gil Kane. Yes, it was Gil Kane who did Adam Strange. It's a pretty like quintessential Adam Strange type of image. Doesn't really look like it's informed by the times they're in as much, but Adam Strange is kind of that type of character, I guess. Gil Kane's connection to Alan Moore is that he drew the Wild West segments in Alan Moore's Supreme and in Judgment Day, which was Alan Moore's aborted attempt to revamp Awesome Comics universe.
Yeah,
so
clean.
Yeah, I think it looks great. This was my favorite one. This and the Nightwing one, I think. And then I did want to point out for the Marvel Family one, that was by Don Simpson, and Don Simpson worked with Alan Moore on Pictopia in 1963. So that, though, is where the story will stop for this week. We still have more story. There's still the other half of the story to go. And I still want to talk about the real life part of all this, which we still haven't touched on. There's a lot to go. But I've got a few more characters to show before we close out, and I did want to answer questions that you guys might have had. So I think we'll show those characters off and then we'll get into the questions. So the next character is Kong Gorilla.
Kong Gorilla?
Yes. Now
Yeah,
this was a
deep cut.
character
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is. At first I thought it was Gorilla Grodd. And I was like, yes, come on, let's go. But unfortunately it is not. Kong Gorilla is Congo Bill. And it says he eventually decided to stay in the body of a gorilla forever and is now quite a wealthy and successful local businessman. A golden gorilla wearing a business suit and even managing to talk just about recognizably, even if some of it has to be done in sign language. And there's more information. He's not really a prominent character, but we had this image, so I did want to share it. I thought this one was badass. It looks
Yeah,
really
it's
good.
fucking cool, dude. He's holding up
Yeah.
a skeleton and everything, or a dying person.
The trope of adventurer turned gorilla is ever present in comics, so this is DC's version of it. I think Gorilla Man is Marvel's version. Yeah,
Okay.
very
Yeah, put
almost
the-
1-to-1. Yeah,
Put this guy in Justice League Dark ASAP.
I believe this guy was a villain actually. Something tells me he was a villain. I feel like I remember seeing him in like Legion of Doom, that big Jim Lee splash page, you know.
He's a villain in this story as well.
Okay,
Not
yeah.
he's not a player like that, but he is a villain. He runs a criminal organization, and the body that he's actually holding is himself.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know Congo Bill, but it appears that Congo Bill like can be in the body of the gorilla, but that at some point they were separated, I guess. And the body is Congo Bill's body that Kong Gorilla is holding.
Gotcha. I always thought it was like a transformation thing, but it's Alan Moore. Who knows?
I
think
thought
the idea,
so too, but it seems like more is
yeah, the idea of
breaking that up.
separating them but then being the same person is very big Alan Moore brain stuff. So
yeah.
So Alan said, unable to bring himself to kill it outright, Kong Gorilla keeps the shackled and naked old man in special rooms at his apartment, feeds it garbage, and hopes it will die soon, but it doesn't. It just lays in the corner and snarls weakly when he enters and fixes him with its ancient glaring eyes as he gives it its food.
I have a question specifically about Kong Gorilla, though. Imagine you're the editor at DC Comics, and Alan Moore gives you this huge pitch, and like Kong Gorilla is a part of it. Like, what are you thinking? Like, like really, like Alan, we need to pare this down a little bit.
His role is so minimal that he won't get another mention from me. He's just not relevant.
Who's the artist on this one, Sean?
So this one is Stephen R. Bissett. Bissett worked with
yep.
Alan Moore on Swamp Thing,
yeah,
in 1963. So
oh shit,
yeah,
I do like all his buddies, you know, are doing art for this. Yeah.
And so it's worth pointing out, I don't know the full story behind this because, again, we're going old internet, but I believe that these were actually all commissioned by the same person. The same individual reached out to these creators specifically and asked them if they would do these renditions for money.
Hold on, I think I have, because this I just googled Congo Bill, and it's a gold gorilla.
Yeah,
and I think I have an annual from Swamp Thing with Bissett and Moore. Hold on, give me a second.
With Kong Gorilla?
With Kong Gorilla.
Oh, that's so cool. It would also explain why this is so good, because this one is very detailed.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
From a detail standpoint, it's probably the best one.
Nothing like a gorilla smoking a cigar.
With a dead, well,
naked
an
old man.
almost dead body in his hands. Yeah. Cradling a corpse. We've got a couple more.
The next one is horrifying.
So the next one is Doll Man. And so Doll Man is dealing with an issue where his constant size changing has taken a toll on his body, leaving him insect-like and lacking human intelligence. And so he's like really long. His limbs are long and very creepy. He's only I believe he's 6 feet, but it's like it's in his legs and arms.
It's length. not height.
And if you can see it, it's really disturbing. If you're a podcast only listener, I highly encourage you to get the YouTube video of this, and we've always got the timestamps jump over to this part and see this because it's really weird.
In the idea of this being a natural, I guess, end point for a guy whose ability is to turn small,
Right.
Is creepy.
It
This guy was part of like what was it? Freedom Force, I believe. Uncle Sam's team.
Oh, Uncle Sam is another relevant character here.
Oh,
that I just didn't get to.
Alan Moore loves Uncle Sam.
He said that was his favorite character to write in all of the.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it, but I'm gonna post it in the Discord because I know I have it.
Awesome.
Who
Yeah,
drew
I'd
this
like
one,
to see
Sean?
that. Yeah, so this one is by John Tuttleben.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, he's so Bissett was the penciler, and Toddleman was the inker on Swamp Thing.
Okay. And so Tuttleben worked on Swamp Thing, as Marco pointed out, also Miracle Man and 1963.
Yep.
So, very cool.
Wait, who is this guy?
Dollman.
This
the
is
Freedom
this is
Force.
Dollman.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And then the last character that we have to show off here is Dead Man,
Oh.
who is now an amalgamation of himself and Baron Winter. Winter's mind has long been burned out in a psychic battle, leaving an empty shell that Dead Man has taken refuge in. So on screen we do have that. It's a weird concept. I don't know much about either
Baron
character.
Winters.
He's done it in the past. Where this is cool. This is Rick Veitch.
Yes, nailed it in one.
Yep. Also Swamp Thing collaborator. And has gone to do other stuff. Aquaman's a really good run that he has, but Dead Man has done this in the past where he will incorporate himself into a body and take it over. There's 6 issues of a crossover with the Challengers of the Unknown and Swamp Thing as well, where he goes into the body of Swamp Thing, and they think that they're teaming up with this character, but it's really Boston Brand guiding and doing everything so that he can communicate with them for some sort of force that they have to fight together.
I like how Marco doesn't know the original use of a GIF file format, but he could just say, "Oh, that's Rick Veitch,"
Easy.
So
now, before we close, you guys said you had questions. What are your questions?
I mean, I have questions that I don't think you can answer. Mostly, these seem to be Baron Winters. He is scraping the bottom of the DC barrel for a lot of these character points, and part of me wonders, is this
He's touched
too
on
much?
all of these though? He all of these were previous characters that he touched and played with. So he's pulling from his sandbox, if anything.
But when I look at pitches, and I've written pitches for stuff before, this seems very involved. At least what's out there, almost too much. Where I can see this being so big and so intricate that I'm no. As an editor, I'll be all right, it's too much. Can't do that. And also, it's a little weird. Is choices.
I think in the case of this particular pitch document, it exists more. It's a ramble. It's a way for Moore to get all his thoughts about it and all his concepts into one document and then work from there. I'm pretty sure, based on having read the whole thing, that Dead Man, Kongorilla, Doll Man wouldn't have had any story relevance other than just being in the barrio and maybe having a speaking moment where, oh yeah, haha, I have if you're Kongorilla, haha, I have a dude in my apartment that's dying, things like that, but we wouldn't actually spend much time with those things.
It's more like when you got the old Star Wars Cantina people action figures and they had all the backstories on the back of the action figure pack.
And it's important to remember, this is supposed to be the end of DC.
Yeah.
So he's saying goodbye to all the characters for the most part, with a special attention paid to characters that he actually likes. So you'll notice like no actual Supergirls here, only the daughter of Superman and Superwoman, who is Wonder Woman. That's Supergirl. There's no what's her name, Kara Kent. She's not a part of this.
The other thing too that I'm wondering is like, I mentioned First Strike or whatever. That's what it was, right?
Yeah. First Wave.
First Wave. How many? I'm wondering how many DC events subsequent to this pitch have existed because of this being an idea in the comic book fandom that has been just absorbed into like the consciousness of everyone, that it's just like this has been the seed that's grown in a lot of different events going forward. Like even the fact that like it sounds like a DC Civil War too at the beginning there, that caused like the registration of aliens and kicking them out. Like, could that have been the impetus for a Marvel idea? Like we'll never know because it's just not how ideas work. But this just seems like a primordial goop of event comics, really, even more so than Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, I think that heroes fighting heroes is something that Alan Moore probably wasn't too riveted by,
sure,
as a general concept. But I think when you add in all the sort of, as you said, primordial goop elements of it that stand the test of time, because we've seen them for all time. Gods fought, when you read about those mythological characters, you see a lot of battles, and whether they're detailed in the way that a comic book script would be, that these wars are occurring. And so I think Alan Moore is really extrapolating from that. But to your point, especially as we go forward, there is a remarkable amount of things that happen in the intervening 30 plus years in comics from this.
And my curiosity is that just because of just us and writers just getting the same ideas through like message boards, or just like part of the consciousness, or like does DC just go to this occasionally because they would have the rights to this pitch, right? If they had it somewhere in a draw, could they be like, oh, this sounded good, here's something we can take out of that, and like dissect it? Like I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, you said that, and Sean had a cheeky smile, so I don't know.
I'm sure that's what Alan Moore thinks.
I'm sure that's going to be the topic of the next edition of Twilight of the Superheroes.
Me getting ahead of you came in handy for once.
I'm really curious if you guys enjoyed the presentation of the story this way. I chose to write it out. I just felt like that would work better. I enjoyed it, so I want to know if that worked for you, if that presentation worked for you guys. Are you still on the hook, and what questions do you have? I would love it if by the end of this we had a bunch of listener questions that we could just tackle if they've not yet been answered by our weekly series. So Tyler, Marco, are you the read there?
I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was, especially the way you described it not really being cohesive or coherent. You did that. So, yeah.
Yeah, they piece it together. This has been hyped in just the concept and the structure. But to like now have it play out, I think, that's really cool.
I wonder if we can get someone on the show who might have worked on DC comic events and throw this idea to them to see if they have any opinions on this story.
Opinions on the story itself?
Yeah. Or has, any familiarity with it.
Man, if only we had podcast. That's it.
If only we had a creator coming on the show that would probably definitely know about this. But
I would feel so weird asking Jeff Johns about this. I don't know why, but I just feel so weird. I'm curious, but I don't know if I'm curious enough to ask, and that might change in the coming days.
We could do some off the air stuff,
Yeah, that's true too. Atomic Hound says, "Is the reason so many fictional futures are dystopian really a call now to keep us moving forward?" Do you mean Do you mean that the point of them is to force us to think about what could happen if we keep doing the wrong things? Because if that's what you mean, I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah,
I think
that's
the best example of that is Terminator 2. That's literally what that movie's about. And it functions similarly to Twilight of the Superheroes in that it shows us the life we're living and how that's not that great anyway. But then it also shows where things will go.
Yeah. I think that's just dystopia in general. Like I think of like
Yeah.
Soylent Green, that movie. Like it's just like, all right, this is the ultimate end of what our current reality could be. Let's
Exactly.
not get there because it ain't good looking. You know,
It's a warning.
Yeah.
It's a warning. And thank you for the compliment. I'm glad you felt it was excellent, Atomic. Next week, be interviewing Jeff Johns, Saturday, April 1st, 4 p.m. Eastern. Or I'm sorry, wow,
Whoa.
1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
My apologies. 1 p.m. Eastern. It will be live. We will be live with Jeff Johns. I hope that you guys decide to come and, check that out. Come ready with your questions. You really should submit them beforehand if you would like a chance at the Jeff Johns Geiger giveaway, which you can enter by really simply being a Twitch and YouTube subscriber. Well, a YouTube subscriber, a Twitch follower. Submit your question before the day. So March 31st is the cutoff day.
Yeah.
If your question or comment comes in after that, I will no longer be considering them for the episode.
And also, like, Junkyard Joe will be done by the time we talk to him next week. So if you guys, have been looking for a reason to read it, it'll be completed. You can pick up all the issues. Or if you have been reading it, if you got questions on that, because I think a lot of it's going to be talking about Junkyard Joe too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come prepared to hear us talk about Junkyard Joe. I think we'll obviously talk more about the Johns hits.
Plenty of questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even scratch the surface last time.
Yeah, exactly. We will need your help to combat the Snyder bots who allegedly will be flooding us that day. We'll see if that really happens.
I think I got it under control. I think we'll be okay.
Good. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun time. We're really excited about it, as you could probably tell. Other ways to support the show, of course, patreon.com/thecomicspals. If you enjoy what we do, if you enjoy these deep dives, if you enjoy our long form conversations, showing your support means a lot to us. That's the best way to do it. It's a direct sign of your support and your interest in what we do, and it helps us continue to do what we do and actually to expand. And you guys will continue to see some of that expansion as we go forward. And we appreciate everybody who chooses to support that way. Short of that, showing up for the live streams helps. Telling your friends helps. Liking our stuff helps. Sharing it, tweeting it helps. All that stuff's great. Appreciate every single person who chooses to do those things. We've got a book club coming out on April 4th. Far Sector, be there for that. Tom King, Mitch Gerrits, who am I missing? Doc Shaner on Strange Adventures. Listen to that book club. That's out now. That was a hot fire one. Give that a listen. Plugs, Marco.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Comics Pals. You can follow me at Mr. Marco Enomoto on Instagram and Twitter. I have restarted watching romance anime, and so please come talk to me about your thoughts and opinions on your favorites, love at large, and slice of life, because I'm into that shit right now. I just started My Dress Up Darling, and it's cute as fuck.
Your what?
My Dress Up Darling. And it's
What
V
the hell is
cute. It's good stuff. Really good animation. The story so far is really cute, and I'm afterwards gonna be watching, I think, maybe Rent a Girlfriend. I gotta figure that one out. It's between that one or like one other, but we'll see. Come talk to me about romance anime, regardless.
You can follow me at the Tyler Olson on Instagram and Twitter. Talk to me about Diablo 4 because I've been playing that beta, and oh boy, that's fun.
I gotta get in on that.
It's open right now. It's open weekend.
I've only played Diablo like once. I played like Diablo 2 once with a friend.
You're gonna get Diablo finger though. Like my hands are already hurting. Like it's not even the full release of the game, and I'm already getting cramped up. I'm old.
I don't know, dude. When you pull Kill Jaden 300 plus times in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I'm immune to the gaming
yeah.
finger. Like, I don't know why, but I'm good.
They
You got
don't
like
have,
anchor
like-
arms for a hand.
They don't have like mice that are optimized for that kind of shit, or you can like.
Well, fair. Diablo can be played on a controller, and the beta is out on PlayStation and PC, I believe, and Xbox as well. So that's that. Throwing that your way, Marco. If you have any consoles that you want to play it on,
The Switch.
not on the Switch.
Nope.
Actually, I think it will be coming to the Switch. I don't know.
I think it's releasing on Switch. I don't know if the
Yeah, I don't think the
beta is
beta's on there.
Switch.
Oh, okay.
As for me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. I've been thinking a lot about Alan Moore lately, and I think that my perspective on him might be changing. So
Negative or positive?
We'll talk about that in the future.
Okay.
But so yeah, if you've got Alan Moore thoughts, share those with me. I'm really excited for Jeff Johns and can't wait for that. So that's what I'm focused on. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really, really appreciate you. Your love and support means the world to us, and we are looking forward to celebrating next week when we have Jeff Johns on the show. I'm looking forward to a very, very fun episode. So join us for that. Until then, we are the Comics Pal signing off. Take care, guys.
See you next week. Oh wait,
Oh, we
damn
gotta
it!
get
Oh
Wolf
god,
going.
we didn't plan that. Who was gonna do that?
No, we
All
did
right,
it.
Whatever.
Bye.
Bye.